Meeting of the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals. We have a full board. I need to stand down from the only hearing that's tonight, so I'll make that announcement when I open the hearing. And there will be 4 members of the board, and the applicant is going to need a 4 out of 4 vote in order to prevail. The first thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes of October 16th, and I'm going to let you do that without me because I had to stand down for most of that meeting.
Okay, so I brought extra Goodbye.
No, I don't have to stand down. You're approving minutes.
Oh, okay. I brought extra copies of the minutes. Does everyone have a copy in front of them?
No.
Would you please take a minute to, it's
A minute for the minutes?
a minute for the minutes to reread them.
I did read them.
Dave, do you have a copy?
I do.
Have you read it recently?
I have.
Okay,
I've not got it.
because I think the information is important, because we really don't want to recreate the wheel again and recover everything that we have. Did you have any comments on the minutes, Rob?
Yeah, I brought up the question of 40B, and I didn't see it referenced in here. However, Sherry mentioned it, and that's referenced in here, so I think we're probably okay.
You want to leave it alone, then?
Yeah, as long as that's referenced in the minutes that was brought up.
It is referenced in the minutes a couple of times in different places. How about you, Dave? Did you have any?
They look good to me. I appreciate minutes like this.
They're very complete. John,
No issues.
are you allowed to have comments?
No, I don't need to.
Susan's at the meeting, so she's not allowed to. At least not
So,
as a member.
Well, can I comment on the member comments up above that had nothing to do with here?
Sure.
Thank you, Garden Club. All right?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Garden Club did an amazing job this summer. They really did. It's, you know, you got to appreciate the small things in town that people work hard on. It's important.
Just going to vote on the minutes.
All right. Can we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Move we accept the minutes as submitted?
And a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's pass. The second item on the agenda is member comments, and before I ask all members, are you a member now?
I don't know.
You didn't hear?
No.
You are.
Really?
Welcome. The selectman did appoint you.
Okay, great.
All right.
Did you swear in?
So do we have, well, he's sworn in already as an alternate.
Oh, okay,
I
good.
don't think he has to re-swear in.
Who knows? I don't know.
I don't either, but I didn't re-swear.
Well, just to cross the Ts and dot the Is, I also appoint you as an alternate voting member in case you're not legally sworn in to be a full member yet, okay? How's that? All right. Any other member comments?
No.
And we did receive a piece of mail relative to the next hearing, and so rather than address it right now, we've got 4 minutes, I'll open the hearing, and then I'll stand down, and you can address the mail together, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's also extra copies of the mail that was received here, Cheryl, under the purples.
Yep.
Lucia left those, and they're
Oh, that's nice of her.
they're additional agendas, if anybody, agenda.
Yeah. And I hope she has my email correct this time, because she had corrected it, and then somehow she went back to
Went
that
back
old
to
one
the
that
old
doesn't
one.
work, so I think she's back again to the right
I'm
one.
glad you spoke out. I had 2 emails in my contact list, and I sent to both emails to make
Yeah.
sure you got one of them.
Well, the SearchNet doesn't work anymore.
So anyone want to talk? We have 3 or 4 minutes to kill. Does anyone want to talk about any town news? Did anyone here go to the tree lighting?
It looks beautiful. Downtown looks beautiful.
Yeah. I have some town news. The Christmas tree in the gazebo is blown over.
Uh-oh.
He
said that when we drove
just
by.
drove by.
Oh, my.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh,
I'll call the garden club president right now.
Thank you.
they need to secure that.
Actually, I think I have enough time to call her. She happens to be my
Watch
sister.
out, though, it looks very icy on the,
She happens to be my sister.
Yep.
I know, I see her walking all the time.
So thank you for telling me, and I'll let her know.
She'll fall on the ice.
We had the Christmas tree lighting. I think we had about, what would you say, Judy, 400 people there?
Something like that.
400 or 500 people. It was less than last year. Last year we had about 600. This year we had 4 or 5. And hi, the tree's blown over in the gazebo. The tree has blown over in the gazebo. Yes. It is terrible. But I'll let you go. Bye.
Poor thing's gonna go fall on the ice trying to fix it.
Probably no point in doing it now, it'll just
I
blow
love it.
over.
That's terrible. Thank you for letting us know.
Drive your car right up.
But yeah, we had a great turnout. Less people, I think, because it was cold, and people took their children home earlier. We have a wonderful town Santa who comes and is so patient and waits and greets every child, and lets every parent take pictures and lets that happen. And the Rotary Club supplies hot cider and donuts and toys, little stuffies for all the children. And Santa throws the giant switch. And he had the help this year of the 4 children whose house burned down. They lost their pet in the house that was burned down, and their dog. And so we had honorary elf hats for them.
Nice.
And they helped throw the switch. And I think that everyone had a very good time. We ordered 30 dozen donuts this year, thinking that it would be enough, and it wasn't.
That's a good thing.
So we're going to go with 40 dozen donuts next year. And hope they all get eaten. So there we go. And we're at time. Yeah?
Actually, I have 3 more
Well, not
minutes.
really 3 minutes,
We have 3
that
more.
clock's off.
And we have to wait until the exact hour because it has been advertised and people may come in.
Okay.
Was that last weekend?
That was, yes, that was Sunday, this Sunday.
Because I'm always
It's
away
all-
from work that weekend.
Always the first Sunday in December. And the electric department does a great job of putting up lights.
Yeah.
And the highway department participates and brings down a stage for us. And what else do they do? There's something else they do and take care of for us, the trash, and emptying the trash cans, etc. The fire department usually brings Santa on the big ladder truck in the bucket.
Yeah.
And then they raise him up and dramatically lower him down. But this year, the ladder truck's in the shop, so they brought him in on the ATV. And he got to run the siren. He enjoyed that. What else? Yeah, it was a good tree lighting. I think that everyone had a good time. Anything else going on in town anyone wants to discuss?
How about the Polar Express tomorrow night?
So there is the Rotary Club is doing a Polar Express evening with Santa. And the set they have is amazing, where they've turned tables into trains, and they're serving hot chocolate, and they have little silver bells for the kids, and they're doing it as a grandparent-child opportunity.
Nice.
Inviting grandparents and children to come to this Polar Express evening with sugar cookies and hot chocolate and little silver bells, and Santa's going to read the Polar Express.
Oh, where is that?
It's happening at the center here on Shattuck Street, right over there.
The senior center?
No,
Yep.
no, just the center.
I-
Don't get in trouble.
And that should be really quite a nice time. It's the first time the Rotary has done that. It's being chaired by Denise Moniz, and she's got all those little silver bells on ribbons for all the kids.
And it's
Nice.
from 6 to 8 tomorrow night.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we got 7:10 on the nose. So welcome to the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals. We're at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. It's December 11th, 2025. I'm opening the continued public hearing of case number 25-980 at 87 Tehadawon Road. The petitioner, Habitat for Humanity, seeks a variance pursuant to 173-26A, Table of Use Regulations, schedule to construct a two-family dwelling and other such business as may properly come before the board. And I have to announce that I'm a direct abutter, so I need to stand down from the hearing, but I don't need to leave the room. So I turn it over to Vice Chair Cheryl Connor.
I believe we have Carolyn here today. Hi. Are you, oh, we have the engineer again.
Should I just grab that mic for the podium, or do you want us to pull
If
in
you want
chairs?
to, usually we pull up chairs,
All right, let's pull up.
whatever you're more comfortable with. We try to be a friendly board for everyone to be comfortable.
Okay.
So, for the record, John Plifka, McCarty Engineering, with Carolyn Reed from Habitat for Humanity. So, we're here tonight to continue the discussion from last meeting, for the variance. At the last meeting, it was expressed that the board had some concerns about setting a precedent, about granting the type of relief, and indicated that pursuing a Chapter 40B filing would probably be the preference. And, we appreciate those concerns, but however, due to the significant costs and additional time with the 40B application, would respectfully, would ask the board to reconsider. Even if we were to pursue a 40B application, we would be back in front of this board again with the very same request, the permission to build a duplex on the property. And, in regards to the precedent, we feel that it's a very unique situation and set of circumstances here that Habitat, as the applicant, has an executed request for proposal that explicitly states that it's supposed to be a duplex constructed on the lot. And, given what we know now, I think that it's highly unlikely that another applicant would be coming in front of you with an executed RFP, or Q, excuse me. And, with these points in mind, we'd like, again, ask the board to reconsider, and, because we feel that going with this variance is the most direct and appropriate approach to ultimately construct a duplex on the property. So with that, I'll hand it to Carolyn if she has anything to add.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, and thank you for letting me come as well, that we do have a LIP LAU already filed with the state, and that was approved by the town. It was approved by the Affordable Housing Trust, and it's a similar document to a 40B. So it's even friendlier than a friendly 40B because it's a local action unit, and it says that you have partnered with us in this request for us to build a two-family house on this lot. So it's already filed, it's very similar, so a 40B would just be doing the same thing and submitting it to the neighbor, to the person who's approving the LIP LAU. So it's a very similar document that's already been filed, to make sure that it is restricted in perpetuity, that can only ever be sold to homeowners who earn less than 60% of area median income. And then further to the point of setting a precedent, the state is setting that precedent for us, right? With MBTA Communities Act, they're encouraging more affordable housing. With the ADU law, they're definitely encouraging more density of housing. And in fact, on that same street, in the lot next to us, there is a two-family. There's already an ADU there, so the precedent of more than one family units on a single lot has already been set. So I think with those things, I also would like you to reconsider that and allow us to bring 2 more families to town in 2 affordable units in a lot that works very well with that. It has enough space with the abutter. We've already moved it over 10 feet. We've agreed to put up a screen of trees to make sure that the abutter has their space and has their privacy. So we think we should move forward, and we request that of the zoning board.
Questions? Anyone have any questions for this set? Okay.
Okay, I'll ask one. What makes the 40B approach that expensive and time-consuming? Because I think this board would probably approve it fairly quickly.
It's not this, it's mass housing. You know, it's not far-fetched to say that's 6 months out before we'd have our mass housing approval before we could come back in front of you.
And you don't think they could expedite it under such situation?
Unfortunately, no.
But then, on the other hand, if you started it when we had the last hearing, you'd be 2 months into that.
Again, I think that going with the variance approach was the most direct and cleanest way to do it.
Yeah,
And we didn't want to go out, you know, spending those resources. You know, we wanted to come back in front of this board one more time to urge you to reconsider. And that's what brings us here tonight.
And can I ask you a question? So why would a 40B be more
Because it wouldn't
amenable?
set a precedent. You're setting a precedent of building a condex in a residential area that is in complete opposition to our zoning bylaws for that area. We have a master plan that specifies our density will be in the common area, and we're trying to protect the rural nature of the rest of the town. The town is historically a rural community and a farming community. And so we set and argued and discussed a master plan that allows for that. This sets a precedent that is in direct opposition of that master plan and is worrisome. So a 40B would not set that precedent. This does. This sets a precedent for conduct. So 40Bs are special permits that kind of squirt all regulations that the state set up. So that's why we lit on a 40B there.
and the comment of unlikely that somebody else might try to do the same thing, it's not enough insurance.
We can say no, and we can say that nothing sets, a 40B never sets a precedent.
Not a 40B,
Yes,
but
but
if we approve this use variance, somebody else could come in later and, you know, they say, well, you've approved it for them, why can't you approve it for us? And
And it becomes all a matter of degrees. And the fact that the town planner or the housing authority made a mistake in issuing an RFP for a lot in opposition of our zoning, I understand the housing authority was never informed and didn't understand that a duplex would not be allowed in that area. Is not a reason for a variance, quite frankly, in my opinion. Now, I do have a question for you. At the last meeting, the neighbor brought up the question of the Presby system, which needs to be serviced, that's very close to her property line, and needs to be serviced yearly. Will the condo documents provide for that, such that it happens and she doesn't end up with a mess in her front yard?
With the Presby system, you have to. So we have to file certain documents that make sure that they service it
Okay,
on the schedule required. And we have installed several of these before.
okay. Any further questions?
no, let the people.
Yeah.
Of course, we will let the abutter speak now.
I just wanted to, I guess, add is that Littleton allows use variances in their bylaws, and that we have a hardship here, that the applicant has a RFQ that strictly states that it was supposed to be a duplex.
That's a hardship that is a question in our mind, some of our minds. So you can state it's a hardship. I think it's a mistake, and one that can be corrected.
Well-
So it is, there we go.
Mistake or hardship, it wasn't our doing, right? We were,
I understand. I understand that the sale can be canceled and that things can be changed, and I understand that there is a desire to make a Habitat for Humanity house available in town. I certainly have been involved, in the 80s, I volunteered on Habitat. I'm an excellent Habitat for Humanity house cleaner. I am excellent at sweeping up sawdust and a mess, and did that while I was in college. And believe in Habitat for Humanity housing. I do wonder why you've gone on to the tact of duplexes. Habitat for Humanity's mantra to me was always pride of home ownership and building a house that fit perfectly in a neighborhood and matched the neighborhood, and settling a family into it to give them that pride of ownership and that foot up, so to speak.
I think there are.
Why would you go into duplexes now?
We've done several, and there are plots of land that lend itself better to it. This plot of land has a certain amount of area that would allow us to do a duplex. It is a harder plot of land to develop, so it is more expensive for site work because of the wetlands, so we need the Presby system, so it is harder to develop. But it's also in response to the extreme lack of affordable housing in Massachusetts. There just isn't enough. And for us to use our time and energy and effort to build a single-family house on such a large lot doesn't make sense. We are trying to turn this around. We're trying to build more affordable housing. And as I said, the state is setting the precedent with the ADU bylaw. They want towns to allow density. They want more density so we can solve that crisis. So in the future, my kids can ever afford a house, that will happen. So I think what the state is trying to push us towards and what Habitat is backing is finding a way to produce more. And density does that. We need more affordable housing, and this allows us to do that.
Is it feasible to put 2 units on it? Because
can't-
then you'd
you
be
can't
going for
subject-
different variances.
You can't subdivide an acre and a half. We have 1 acre zoning.
Right, but we could give a variance to lot size, variance to setbacks,
We've never
if there were
given-
2 separate units, I think.
We've never given a variance to lot size before, and I don't even know a town around that has given a variance for lot size. But on the other hand, we asked that question last time, could they build 2 separate units and not a duplex?
Yeah,
And
I'll let them answer that, if that's feasible.
they told us no.
Yeah, but that's what they don't want.
Well, it's, with the configuration and needing the septic, it would be difficult to fit both because we have also wetland restrictions, which we've been actively going in front of the conservation for, so. And again, with it not meeting the dimensional requirements for the zone. So we'd be asking for a different relief.
Yeah, and that was maybe a little easier to do than this particular one. Because I don't think anybody's opposed to the concept. It's just that we do have to protect the bylaw too. And going forward, not just with this instance.
I think it was our approach because we were asking for 1 variance here. I think we would need more than 1 on if we were to do 2 separate lots because of frontage and area. So that was the reason for us filing for a use variance, because it was allowed in town and that we thought it was the cleanest way and the most efficient.
Yeah, but we've done those kind of variances many times, so I don't think there's much of an issue there.
Oh, not subdividing a lot, we haven't.
We haven't tried it, I don't know, well,
We've never
maybe,
subdivided a lot.
maybe Sherry can answer that question.
We've never
If a variance
subdivided a
to
lot.
divide a lot.
Not today, I'm afraid.
We haven't. All right, thank you.
Can I ask them a question
Yes, you can.
while they're there? You said there was a multifamily.
You have to ask it through me, though,
Oh,
because we
oh.
don't want any confrontation.
Oh, yeah,
Say your name.
Oh, yeah,
And where you live.
Matt Lyons, 79 Tehadawon Road. But you speak of a multifamily right there. Can you define a multifamily to me? What is, when you say multifamily, what does that mean?
You said the abutter has.
I think it was me.
Yeah.
If you have an ADU, more than 1 family can live on that property. Any house that has an ADU is a multifamily.
So what's that address that abuts that? Is that my
They're
house?
talking about your house having an
Okay.
ADU.
And
Yes.
long?
Which we
That's one family?
followed the
That's an
zoning
ADU.
bylaws.
And we went through the town and did a in-law, went through the process and built that and had to sign in blood that it was a blood relative. And it was actually, she's adopted and it's not a blood relative.
So the new ADU law for the state says that that's a multifamily.
Okay.
And that
So it's changed.
overrides the law of the town, the
Okay.
bylaw of the town.
Thank you.
Open it up to public comments.
Yes, thank you.
But can we come
Sure.
forward?
Come on up.
Go ahead.
And introduce yourselves, please.
Yes, I'm Mary Ellen Lyons, 79 Tehadawon Road. I think I showed last time, our house is usually
It's right there.
more prominent on the plan, but yes, we're the direct abutters.
In Matthew Lyons.
Yes, and Matt
Sunday
wasn't
night.
able to be here last time, so I first would like to say, I appreciate, as I know Carolyn, you were not at the last meeting, but I wholeheartedly believe in the work you do. I did build an affordable housing unit for my mother. Again, as Matt said, we followed the zoning laws at the time because there is an affordable housing issue, and we have that with my mother as well as my son, who would probably qualify to live in your, in what you want to build, because he works at the Littleton Middle School and doesn't make a lot of money. But as I know I spoke a lot last time, so I don't have to say that, but I guess what I thought, maybe just coming here tonight, I would hear something different, because what I heard from all of you last time was that you gave them sort of a path forward with this friendly 40B, which I don't really know anything about. So I guess I'm just surprised that, that there is an option to move forward, but they're saying that option doesn't work for them, and I understand that it's difficult property. I wholeheartedly hope there's a Habitat house there. I just think it should be a single-family house, as I said last time, that fits into the zoning. So I guess I'm just surprised that I thought I would hear a different plan than just the same, coming forward again with the same plan. But I know Matt had some questions.
Yeah, and I really appreciated seeing that layout drawing. It's really good, and you're talking about what is that, an acre and a half?
Mm-hmm.
But if, I'm looking at that, and wetlands are maybe 40% of it, so 60% of it is usable. And you can see they squeezed the septic system up top where it perked well. That makes sense.
Well, it didn't perk that well. They have to put a press bead in.
Yeah, and they did the perk test in the biggest
Driest
drought.
month.
in-
And talked about
In
that
the
on the
last 20
Affordable Housing
years.
Trust meeting, actually.
But,
They do the soil testing. They're
Yeah.
supposed to look for high water marks.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that it was dry shouldn't really matter.
Okay.
but looking at this layout too, and it's a really eye-opening to me. I see the driveway, how many bedrooms is it? 5 bedrooms. I don't know how many houses have 1 car per family, so maybe that's 2 cars, or maybe it's 5 cars fitting in this driveway. There's no place to park a car. Were you gonna park on the street?
No.
Carports versus garages, you're squeezing a lot of bedrooms into a tiny piece of buildable, usable property. I live right behind it. I have a lot of wetlands. We have 2 acres, maybe an acre is usable. I understand this layout. There's acreage and there's usable acreage that you can build in existing zoning laws, right, and wetlands laws.
I'm going to take the opportunity, with your permission or your kindness, to tell the board a little bit about the history of this land, because I was very involved in this land several years ago. Several years ago, the Brown family, 3 brothers, inherited the piece of land, this 50-acre piece of land, and decided they wanted to sell it. They came to me to sell it for them. I found a builder who offered them $2.5 million for the entire parcel. The builder did testing, including on this lot, and realized he could only get 8 lots, not the 20 he hoped for on this piece of land, at which point he reduced the price he was offering from $2.5 million down to $1.5 million, because he could get the 8 lots without putting in a road or doing much development with pork chop blocks, et cetera. At that point, one of the brothers wanted to put a conservation easement on the top of the hill where the tall pines were, where he remembered growing up and playing in the tall pines. And that turned out to be detrimental to the builder, because that's where a lot of the Westland was. And so they went back and forth, and that brother didn't have grandchildren and was willing to give up funds to keep that conservation land, and the others had grandchildren that they wanted to help through college, et cetera. So eventually they said to me, you know, well, any chance the town would buy it? And I went and talked to Mitt Wanser, who was the chair of the Community Preservation Fund, and to a couple of the selectmen and the town managers and everything else, and back to the Browns and back and forth. And Browns finally offered it to the town for conservation for $1 million. They gave up $500,000 to sell it to the town instead of to the builder, with the caveat that it would be conservation land. Now, shortly before it was to pass, and it was appraised out at I'm told close to $2 million, because there were 8 buildable lots that were somewhere, they wouldn't tell me exactly, between $1.5 million and $2 million is where it appraised. And there were 8 lots that were indeed buildable and enough dry land. And this particular lot, the builder didn't believe he could get more than a 3-bedroom house on because it was so wet. He wasn't even sure he could build on it, but a 3-bedroom house was the most he thought he could put on there. Just before closing, we found out that the town had worked out a deal where the housing authority was actually buying this lot, which is not the deal that was made with the Brown family. And we had quite a conversation about it. And the Browns were reassured that it was going to be a housing authority house, a single-family house that would be on that lot. And it would be something hopefully like Habitat for Humanity or through the housing authority. And they decided they were okay with it, even though that wasn't the spirit of the agreement by any means. And so it's a little odd to come many years forward to be facing this as a multifamily now. There we go. That's the history of the land and the builder's belief that he could only get a 3-bedroom house on it, and that it would be very tight to get, because even though it's a big lot, and you mentioned you want to get density on such a big lot, most of it is wet. And so that really makes the buildable area much smaller.
And I appreciate you bringing up that history, and I know that, Carolyn, you mentioned the MBTA, zoning laws, and we did just pass the zoning for that, and that is not on Tehadawon Road. It is on Foster and Taylor, I believe, where it is zoned for multifamily. So we've always wondered, why are we trying to squeeze a square, whatever, round hole into a square, whatever, however you say it. But because I wholeheartedly agree that it seems like a 3-bedroom house would work fine there. But a 2-family, again, I said last time, I don't know how many, you could have like 10 people living there. Cars, I don't know if there's a basement, but there's one carport. It just doesn't seem to make sense, but I guess that's all I had from me. I don't know.
Yeah.
That brings me back to a question. It looks from the plans like there is no basement?
No basement.
No basement?
Because it's going to be slab on grade.
Okay.
So
Where does
where's
everything go?
storage go? Like, no garage, no basement, we would be in trouble at our house.
And just the number of cars. I don't know, how many families have one car? So there's 4 cars in this driveway?
We have, our house, we
It's like
had
a single lane
2
driveway.
children and my mother, and we had, so that's 5 drivers at one point, and we had to scramble and buy used cars, but we had 5 cars, and I don't know where 5 cars would be parked for that. But
Yeah, we're one family.
we appreciate you letting us speak on
And
this
if-
again.
Of course.
Am I
Thank you.
looking at that right, that this line here, is that wetlands too, this
No.
bow?
No, that's a buffer.
That's a
That's 100
wetlands,
feet from it. So the wetlands are way down.
so why do you show a buffer?
That's for a conservation filing.
Because they need a variance for that.
Oh, that's a variance.
You
It's not a
cannot
variance,
build
it's a permit.
you cannot disturb within 50 feet of a wetlands, but you have to show a 100-foot buffer for conservation.
They can set up a set of rules for what you have to do within that 100 feet.
Huh. Yeah, it's just usable, it's just going to me, usable land. This, we're talking about an acre and a half, and that's probably 3/4 of an acre. That's usable, buildable land, septic, and housing.
I understand.
And we're trying to put 5 bedrooms in it.
Any other abutters or neighbors want to speak?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Um,
Are you,
Can I just sit here?
yeah, you have to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Wanda Bellevue. I'm the first Habitat homeowner here in Littleton. And,
I thought we didn't have any Habitat houses.
yeah, 20-something years ago,
Ah.
I moved in here, over up on Harvard Road. I just want to say that, you know, I totally agree with this multifamily thing. Just for the fact to have somebody else be able to, you know, enjoy a home and say that it's this. And this whole community, Littleton, is amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, it's wonderful, I love Littleton.
It's a wonderful
I love
town.
all the people in it, I drove bus here, I picked up
I
your
know, I
kids.
remember you, Wanda.
Sherry did my house, I mean, everybody here is wonderful.
It
And I totally would love to see other people feel that way too. I
I
mean, I
grew
don't
up-
know all the laws and all, but
I grew up in Littleton and moved back here 22 years ago.
23 years ago. No, 24 years ago. Sorry, my son's 23. I moved back here 24 years ago to raise my family. It is a lovely town.
I know my kids called it the boondog, but then they got used to it.
Oh, it's great. It's a wonderful town, and, you know, I don't think any of us disagree with Habitat for Humanity's mission. And I'm delighted, I didn't realize we had a Habitat for
Yeah.
Humanity house in town, and I'm delighted to,
And my house is all paid for, but now.
that's
But I
wonderful.
still deal with them too.
Well,
If I
that's-
need help and stuff, yeah.
That's terrific.
It is.
I'm
They're
glad
great.
you're in town.
Great.
I'm glad it's worked out. I'm glad your kids, you know, had the town experience and all that good stuff.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Any other butters or neighbors want to speak?
Just very quickly, Sherry Gould, I'm speaking as an abutter and not as a zoning board member. And I'll just remind you that my house is here, and I also own this house where I bought from my mother to age in place. And like you, Cheryl, I have no problem with Habitat for Humanity. I have volunteered myself or given legal services, you know, at low cost or free of charge. I am troubled by creating a duplex exemption to our zoning bylaw for anybody at any time through this board. I think it needs to go either to town meeting or it needs to go back to the planning board or the select body, which would be the friendly 40B process. But I have to remind you that the variance requires that the board, if they want to grant it, make findings of all 5 things. And the 5 things are that a literal enforcement of the provisions would involve a substantial hardship, financial or otherwise. I don't believe that the fact that they were granted this parcel of land at low cost, thinking it could be a 2-family without permits, would qualify. And on that score, while it says, the RFP says 2-family, it says, but in compliance with all of the Littleton zoning bylaws. So the 2-family would be allowed through a 40B process, not through a zoning bylaw process. It says that the hardship has to be owing to circumstances relating to soil conditions, shape or topography or structure. And it doesn't really say owing to the fact that you had expectations that weren't met or that there was a mistake in the RFP. And then it says, the desirable relief can be granted only without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of the chapter. Well, the chapter is no 2 families are allowed in residential zones. That's the intent and purpose of the chapter. If you want to substantially nullify or derogate from that, you ought to go to the planning board or the zoning board, the planning board or the select body, and ask them to put it on the town meeting warrant and see if the town wants 2 families. I can tell you here, the 3 direct abutters don't want a 2-family to violate the zoning bylaw. We will end up with one if you do a 40B, friendly 40B, I guess. I don't have any objection to that. What I object to is substantially derogating from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. And I think we have some ability, as do you, to not go through all of the rigmarole of the Conservation Commission, which means that the abutters, especially behind me, the ones that are beside the lot, would have more flexibility to have a separation, a distance, and some buffer through the 40B process. It would, as you said, come back to the zoning board. The zoning board would oversee it. And if the zoning board said, we want it a little further away or pushed back or something, even if you ended up in the buffer, I think the 40B process overrides some of the conservation rules and regulations.
Overall, it's local, not state. So we'd still have to have approval from DEP. They would review it. I guess one thing I'd like to add too is through the 40B process, not saying that we would or would not, but there's a potential or the possibility that it would be more, or it could go for more than 2 units.
It is going to be a friendly 40B, and with a friendly 40B, this board has the ability to say no. So you can't threaten us that you're going to come back with 6 units, and if we don't, if we ask you to go through the 40B process, threatening us with 6 units is not gonna work here.
But the board through the variance would have the opportunity to grant 2. That's all we're asking for is for 2 here. Not saying that we would, deviate from that, but it is a possibility.
We've already talked to just to clarify,
Sure.
we've already talked to town council about this variance, who tells us that, yes, indeed, we could grant this variance, but it wouldn't be legal, and if the abutter went to the state and challenged it, she would win. And, the idea is that she wouldn't take the time or money to do that, and I'm talking about you, that you wouldn't take the time or money to do that, and I'm pretty uncomfortable with putting a resident of the town in that position. So, I gotta, let's finish the hearing and give the board a chance to discuss, because we continued last time before we had a chance to discuss, and there are 4 of us with strong feelings and opinions.
Sure. So, question, did you say it was a vote?
Yes.
Require?
Yes.
So before we close the public hearing, I'd request a straw poll vote again.
I'm not going to give it to you this time because we need a chance to discuss. Or do you want to try, I'm told we can discuss before closing the hearing.
Do you want to do that? Because you can't continue on us, we're at 100 days.
No, I understand.
Well, they
We
can
can't-
ask for an extension.
They can ask for an extension and give us an extension, but we're right up against, you just happened to file papers the end of August, and we didn't have time to post for the September meeting, so the first meeting we could see you was October. And you asked for an extension in October, and then November, well, that's my fault. I wasn't available for the November meeting. But, so here we are, 5 days before the 100 days are up. We either have to have you if you ask for an extension, or then we need to fill this out, and you have to say you are asking for an extension and give us an extension as well. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And I think the result, if the straw poll turned out one way, we wouldn't be asking for an extension.
Okay. And you know what I haven't done, and I really want to do before we go any further, is I want someone to read the letter we received from the Housing Authority member, Affordable Trust Housing Authority member, into the record. Who would like to do that? John, I appoint you. You're our clerk.
I'm injured. It's not addressed, it just starts. Massachusetts has a statewide housing affordability crisis. In 2021, it took a household income of $98,000 to purchase an entry-level home at $400,000. Today's entry-level home is over $500,000, and it takes a household income of $162,000. The difference of income of $64,000 in just 4 years. In the last meeting of the ZBA, there was a great deal of discussion about the proposal to build a duplex on the parcel at 87 to Adam 1. Habitat for Humanity intends to build a 2-family house that is deeply affordable for families making less than 60% of AMI on this property. To make this property financially viable at affordability level, the property must be a two-family residence. One question raised at ZBA was whether this would work as a house with accessory dwelling, ADU. Financially, this would not be viable. For the sake of the discussion, I would assume that Unit A is valued at $300K and Unit B is valued at $250K, at a total of $550K. If single-family owned both units, they would have to have an income to qualify for the $550K mortgage without any rental income. They could not use potential rent to help them qualify for the mortgage. And if they could, it would raise their income above the AMI limit. This eliminates the option as viable. Another option would be a low-income family owns A and a partially parent moves into B and supplies assets to the purchase price of the property. The asset supply would exclude the qualification, eliminating this as an option. Another option would be for two families to buy the property together, share the mortgage. This option has many issues. If one family were to move, the new mortgage would have to be issued. If one family were to default, the other family would suffer. As I hope this document shows, the only viable option is the property to be a duplex with separate ownership. The ZBA has right to grant this variance. This is the only viable option for a deeply affordable multifamily housing unit. Finally, I should note that town meeting voted twice for this property to be used for affordable housing. The Select Board unanimously voted to support the project proposed by Habitat. I strongly urge the ZBA to vote to support this project as presented. The ZBA was concerned about setting a precedent. The precedent would be set in this instance is the support for duplexes on conforming lots if both units are deeply affordable, like 60% of AMI or less. I, for one, am very comfortable with that precedent. Thank you for your time. Mark Rambacher, Affordable Housing Trust.
And of course, the friendly 40B was not mentioned in here as an option.
Well,
I have a question. Does anybody know what the 60% of AMI is? What the actual number? I mean, give us all the different dollar numbers.
average medium income.
Well, I know what it means, but what is it for Littleton? What is that dollar number?
Does
I don't know if anybody knows. No.
Sorry. It's in the marketing plan that we submitted for the LIP LAU, but it's something like $96,000
Okay.
per family of four.
any other butters or anyone else wishing to be heard?
I just have a question because you mentioned the filing in August. Why, when this project has been discussed for like at least 4 years, maybe 3.5, I looked through all my notes. Why did you wait until August when I know when we did the walkthrough, Carolyn, you said that you were hoping to pour the foundation in November? Why was this not all figured out in the beginning? And this would have eliminated all of this in the end, saying there's a hardship with money and time. Well, why not ask for the variance right up front? Or, because I know
They didn't
Maren-
realize they needed a variance.
Well-
Somehow the housing authority wasn't informed that they needed a variance.
Well, I thought, Maren, you said at the last meeting that there were 5 different options discussed. I know I happened to listen to the last Affordable Housing Trust meeting where they talked about Durkee Farm and they talked about septic, but the first question was, how do we proceed? And the 2 options were a friendly 40B or a senior housing grant. And so I would assume that when this project was discussed 4 years ago, you also said, how would we, and I know you weren't there, like
We
this.
responded to an RFP.
Exactly. So I'm sorry that you were given that misinformation, but I'm saying, how was that RFP put out when that, somebody should have known that. And I don't think it's a hardship to say, we didn't know. When we're on an affordable housing trust, and it's your job to know the zoning laws, I would think, if you're gonna be building affordable housing.
Or perhaps they responded to the 2 town meetings where they voted for this.
What were the
land.
2 town meetings?
They're
What
talking,
was that one?
my understanding is the 2 town meetings where we approved buying the land. And the
One
other
town
one,
meeting.
Mark?
There was one town meeting where we approved buying the land with 1.6 acres set aside for affordable housing. There was another town meeting where the 1.6 acres was given to the Affordable Housing Trust.
Okay.
Cheryl Gould again. It didn't even occur to me, but when you said they filed in August, I happened to pull a copy of the deed. The deed from the affordable, or the town acting through the Affordable Housing Trust to the applicant is dated August, it was recorded August 18th, 2025. It's dated end of July. Several members had to sign, and so the signature dates are a little bit different. It did get recorded August of 2025, which lends a little credence to Mary Ellen's argument that you've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden you record the deed a few days before filing this application. So it looks like it's a hardship and you were blindsided, when in fact this looks to me like you recorded the deed in order to say it looks like a hardship or it felt like a hardship. But I don't, be that as it may, I just think it's also a piece of data that should be included. And I just want to comment about the letter from Mr. Rombacher about affordable housing. And I want to say on the record, Littleton is doing a marvelous job providing affordable housing. With great thanks to the planning board and the master plan and the density we voted at the MBTA communities and the Salapoli project.
And we passed our own ADU
10%
law regulation before the state did,
first,
that ADUs are allowed as a right. So to criticize Littleton for not stepping up to the plate is inappropriate, in my opinion.
I don't think that's what I said.
No, you didn't say.
Okay.
I said that it's needed all over the state. More dense housing is needed all over the state because more housing is needed all over the state, particularly affordable.
Littleton currently has 458. Yes, it does. Not what the state counts, but what I got that number from Diane Corey today. 458 units in Littleton that are low income. The state doesn't allow us to count them because the state built them, but they are in Littleton and they do reflect on our tax base. They exist. And that's a sizable number for a town our size. And we are doing our share, I think. I mean, I'm not sure what our share is, and I'm sure it's not enough because housing is important. And I'm a real estate broker, so I believe in housing.
There's like 1,000 units coming to the common, right?
Yeah.
And 10% of those low income.
Right, we already have 458. If you count what the state has built, which the state doesn't allow us to count towards our low-income allotment, our 10%. So, you know, if you count Littleton Green and you count Mill Pond and you count all the units that are income restricted in Littleton, according to Diane Corey, there's 458 of them. Which for a town that has housing in the $3,000 number, that's a lot. Would you like to speak?
Thank you very much. Let's see, the information that I gave to Diane Corey that she passed along to you today is our subsidized housing inventory. It does include Mill Pond, it does include Littleton Green, it also includes Pondside and 15 Great Road. The problem with including Pondside, all of the units at Pondside and all of the units at 15 Great Road, is that only 25% of those are actually deed restricted affordable, meaning that the other 75% at those two developments are market rate. So if you count all of the
She didn't
deed
put any of
restricted,
15 Great Road in that
if
number.
you put all of the deed restricted affordable units, if you count all of those up, the rental units, we have 222 in town out of about close to 3,900 housing units across the town. If you look at the number of homeowner units that are deed restricted affordable, we have 39. The request in front of you is to add 2 more.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all aware of that.
I would suggest that the hardship is the housing crisis, the affordability crisis. If I make one snapshot that really told this story to me was from the 2025 Greater Boston Housing Report. And it just shows in the last 5 years of how much more difficult it has become to afford a entry-level home.
Well,
That's- these are
interest
the
rates have
sim-
gone up quite a bit in the last 5
Right,
years.
and interest rates are shown right on here, but say if interest rates, but the total monthly payment by the homeowner for a $500,000 house, almost $4,200. So we're trying to create 2 for-sale units
And Littleton
that would
is-
help
and-
address.
And that's the reason we have a master plan and why we're building so much
I
housing
understand.
at
I've
the
heard your
Common. And the
opinion on
reason we
that.
have approved the
Mhm.
housing at the end of Foster for the MBTA. And
And nobody's arguing the benefit of this. It's the bylaws that we're concerned with, protecting the bylaw.
Right, and I really appreciated the end of Mr. Rambacher's letter where he said that the precedent that's being requested is that if a developer wants to come and build a duplex where both units are at 60% AMI or lower, that the town supports that. That's the request.
thank you.
Yep, thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
And again, Matt Lyons, 79 Tahada Road, just for the board to consider, I do know, where this letter says town meeting voted twice, this property to be affordable. I remember the first vote, I was there, where Cheryl, you probably know, it was presented to the town to buy multiple acres.
50 acres.
50 acres.
That connects
for
the top to the town
conservation,
forest.
And some of that was gonna be deemed affordable. Sounds brilliant. I voted for that, yes. It's yes, but let's stay within our bylaws. I don't know what the second vote was. You can write.
It's
you can-
interesting.
You can write a letter really cleverly to say we voted for this little piece to go with exceptions. It's not what people are voting on.
Even the RFP said that it had to follow zoning bylaws. So, and the RFP contradicted itself. So it's, there we go. I've made my complaints about that known, and I'm not going to go there again. You're standing up.
Sorry, I picked a bad seat. I can't see it. But
You
no,
want to pull your chair back over?
No, yeah, I am curious if the board is going to deliberate before closing.
I'm going to ask them in a minute, but I'm going to go to
Okay.
Mr. Rambacher first and let him make
Please.
his comments.
Hello,
Hi.
Mark Rambacher, Hartwell Ave. I wrote the letter for the affordable housing. I would like to point out to this board that if this was being developed as an ADU, they wouldn't even have to be here. They could do the exact same 5 bedrooms that they're doing now without being here. The only issue is that they need to do 2 owners to make this affordable. There's nothing else that would have to change. It's just the 2 owners, and that's what you guys are hung up on. This project would work as an ADU. It doesn't work as a affordable ADU because you can't make an affordable ADU in this deeply affordable. It just won't work for qualifying for the loan or the burden on the affordable homeowner. So if you take it from that perspective, if I bought the land myself, I could build this exact same project, and you wouldn't even know about it. So there's no concern that. It's just the ownership that is the issue here. And setting the precedent that we allow deeply affordable duplexes in town is there's very few deeply affordable houses in town. We have to beg developers to build them now. We struggle to get developers to build them now, and not even this deeply affordable. I would also point out there's at least 2 other ADUs and a duplex on this street. So it's not out of character of the street to have this type of development there. It's not bigger than any of the units that are there. It's a small development. And I understand the issues potentially with parking, and if those are real issues, those should be addressed. But that's not saying we shouldn't build this and allow it. Thank you.
Can I just ask, what is the square footage of the second unit?
900.
Yeah, that's definitely bigger than, I believe ours is 750.
It's allowed by law.
Yeah, but town bylaw at the moment says 1,200.
Okay, I was just, he just said it was
No,
no bigger than.
the planning board is looking at revising the bylaw
Yeah.
because of the state's new bylaw and then the requirements and merge something that matches both.
Yeah, we were in the old bylaws.
Yeah, it's changed many times over the last
Yeah.
decade or so.
Yeah.
So I would like the board's pleasure on this. Do you want to close the hearing and debate and make a decision? Do you want to debate and have the ability to ask more questions and get more input? Do you want to, what is your pleasure?
I have a question, Cheryl, for you, just because you said earlier we spoke to town council. Who is the we?
The town council was at the last meeting, wasn't
He was at the last meeting. Before
I
this even came.
I didn't hear town council say what you said in terms of risk of lawsuit, and there's no letter, so I'm just trying to understand where that came from.
The letter,
It wasn't said at the meeting, that's for sure.
We contacted town council when this first became known. I got permission to, as having to be chair, I got permission from the town manager to contact town council and ask about building a duplex on this property and what would be the variances and the regulations on doing that, a condo. It's basically a condex is what they're building. And he wrote us a letter and put it in draft, and it never got out of draft. So can I ask our other member who's not on, I can't even ask you a question like that, huh? Okay, so there was a draft letter that he wrote that we never had him put in official writing. We had him come to the last meeting in case it came up. And he did say at one point that we could grant it, but that it would be open to being challenged and could be successfully challenged.
He didn't say that.
I'm pretty sure he did. He certainly said it in the letter.
I haven't
I
seen the
can
letter.
pull up the
That's
letter.
all I'm saying. I mean, it's important to me. If there's an issue, potential lawsuit and liability for the town, that needs to be in the record, I feel like.
The land disposition agreement that was signed by Habitat and was issued by the town was also reviewed by town council.
Right, I knew that.
And it did require.
And town council has said that they weren't aware that when they approved the RFP, they weren't aware that it was in violation of the zoning bylaws.
And I'm also curious if there's any liability on the town in terms of putting that RFP out, executing the agreement. Is there liability that Habitat would come back with a lawsuit?
I don't think Habitat has the footing that, see, the thing about granting the variance, we don't have, the regulations don't allow us to grant the variance. None of those conditions exist.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. Well, then that's part of the discussion we need to have.
It is indeed.
But, so what is your pleasure? Are we closing the hearing before the discussion or after it?
I'm the newbie.
Couple comments. If we do the discussion while the hearing's still open, then they can respond.
Yes.
And secondly, if we were to deny, and if your approach is to go 40B, what is better for you? To continue, to get an extension and continue the hearing while you do that, or to deny the variance and go forward?
I think it would probably be a withdrawal without prejudice.
And that would be fine, too.
We always allow that.
Yeah.
Right, we just wanted to hear your guys' deliberation from that, because we're curious on what you have to say. And then make our decision.
We're curious about what we have to say, too. We are a board that does not communicate outside of the meeting.
No.
We do not violate open meeting laws. We don't do that.
after the meeting, after we've made a decision, we frequently go for a drink and we have a funeral and discuss what was done and what was said over the thing, but we don't discuss ahead of time.
No.
We don't do that. We don't violate, we don't.
No, that's not right.
So
to
I
do
don't
that.
know what these gentlemen are thinking. And I'd like to know, but we stopped last time because you asked for a continuance.
Yeah, see, in other towns that I've done it, there's deliberations before the public hearing is closed, right? Because you close the public hearing.
We've always closed the public hearing and then had deliberations. But I'm asking their pleasure, and it sounds like you'd like to have the deliberations talk about
Well,
first.
if we close the hearing, then we have a choice to approve or
We have to make a
deny.
decision.
If we keep the hearing open, they can then request a withdrawal without prejudice.
Okay.
I think, once we've closed the hearing, I think that may be off the table.
Like I said, I'm the newbie.
I'm pulling up Tom Harrington's letter for you, I'm sorry. Give me a few minutes.
I mean, I would like to read it, that would be great, but I do feel like, shouldn't it, I mean, this is a question for you all too, as the newbie, shouldn't that be in the record?
Public record, I
Theoretically, it should be, yeah.
And fair, they didn't come forward. This was back in the spring, and they didn't come forward, so it was put in draft, and then they came forward in a slightly different way, and so it was,
And my concern too, if we
I
talk
mean,
about,
Warren got a copy of it, because we asked him to distribute it to the planning board.
okay, and the other issue, talk about lawsuits. If we were to approve this, what would stop somebody to want to put a duplex in that is not affordable and say that we approved this, therefore they should be approved, and if we deny them, end up in court?
There is, I had a bill, I actually, okay, we're going into discussion?
Sure.
You guys can't interrupt unless we ask a question, all right? Go ahead.
I have one question. On the letter from the lawyer, I
Yeah.
think you're in shaky grounds on what you're using on it, because if you start talking about it, then it has to be part of the public record, and if it's a draft, I don't know what you're allowed to talk about. The lawyer in the room can probably answer that question a little better than I can, but you're in a weird position, because once you start talking about it, it has to be part of the public record.
Yeah, I think all we can say is it's a possibility, not that town council advises to that, because he didn't put it in writing to us.
Can we make a request? Is that something that we can do?
We can, but once we've closed the hearing, then we can't accept anything new.
So let's not close the hearing. Okay? No one interrupt. You have to be good. Or else I will close the hearing.
Maybe that's,
All right?
maybe that's the thing, we could get that letter. But, I asked the question, would they like us to continue the hearing, or close it, or just withdraw without prejudice?
They want to hear our discussion first.
Yeah, well, that's part of the discussion. So we could continue, see if they're willing to continue the hearing and get something official from the town council.
Sorry, I'm on cords and
I noticed that.
I can't move back. I want to be able to see everybody at once. There.
Well, John, you've been
Do
sitting.
you want, who wants to start? Do you want to start?
I've been saying a lot. I think these guys should do some talking.
John, you want to?
Well, so, the thing that bothers, there's two things that bother me about the whole issue. Three of you include the fact that the town requested an RFQ for something that wasn't legal, for lack of a better term. They asked for a duplex, and the bylaws don't allow a duplex.
You have to remember that the housing authority members are like us, but
Well,
not,
I understand,
but
but-
not even us, because they're not dealing with zoning issues.
I understand, but.
And they are volunteers also.
That's just, you asked me what my concerns are.
They should have been informed, however, and I'm not sure why they weren't informed and why they weren't educated.
It is where it is,
Yeah,
where we're at
John,
now.
please finish.
So, one of the ways of approving a variance is a hardship. And in the past, we've never approved a variance for hardship that the owner did to themselves. For instance, they bought a lot that met all the requirements, and they stuck the house in the wrong spot, and now they need a variance because they're too close to the lot line. And that we say no to, because, you could have put it where it was supposed to go, and you didn't. So now all of a sudden, you're asking for forgiveness rather than asking for permission. From a cost point of view, I could see, it helps, you could argue that that is a cost issue, but on the other hand, this is not the only lot in town. I know the town wants to make it affordable, but I think 99% of the people at town meeting, when they voted for it, thought it was a single-family home going in, not a multifamily home. I know I did when I voted for it. I didn't expect it to be a multifamily home. It is a lot in the public good, I think, that obviously, but on the other hand, I think if it's for the public good, then we should be, there are better ways about going about it. For instance, the town meeting was the first thing I thought of when I was reading all the documents over again yesterday. Then it seems more sense to me that, let's go back to the town meeting and say, okay, guys, this is what it's come down to. We can't afford to build a single-family unit. We need to do a duplex. Is the town willing for that? And let the town vote on it and say yes, yay or nay. I have concern of us doing that and setting a precedence, or worse yet, getting yelled at by the rest of the town for having done something against the rules. And, I don't see any hardship, since it's a new building, that says you absolutely need to do this, because, most of the time we're giving variances is because somebody has a little house on postage stamp near the lake, and, they need a storage, someone's saying for storage, they need to have a storage shed, because the house is 900 square feet, and there's no place to add on to the house, so they put a shed, and it means the shed has to be 5 feet from the property line, which is too close, and we agreed with that. And as long as the neighbors next door say, oh, that's fine, we don't mind. I could see this thing getting built within a year, 2 sheds behind it, because, again, there's no place in there to store anything. Where do we put your snow blower in the wintertime? I mean, the lawnmower in the summertime, whatever. And so that concerns me. And I think that by the way, I think my math shows that I assume it's the single floor units, quote, the smaller one, that's about 1,000 square feet. 990, I came up with my math. And so that's where I'm at the moment. I'm concerned that, we don't really have a leg to stand on to issue a variance.
Who'd like to go next? Dave? Before we do that, I do want to point out, because you are a newbie, that we have made a builder move a house before and move his stairs and change where his door was rather than give a variance, because he built in the wrong spot. We do not give self-made variances, because that's not allowed by our regulations. And we have never broken our regulations to my knowledge.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm a newbie. And so I'm looking at it with newbie eyes. And there's a lot that's swirling around here. Stuff about cars, I get it. And there's a lot that's unfortunate to me. I mean, clearly there's some things that I think if you could wind the clock back, you would do it different. But, water's under the bridge in a way, and we are where we are. And what I hear is everybody's okay with it. And this is, again, I'm new on all the laws and the variants, but as I understand it, we do have the authority. And the 40B is also under us. So, the common sense side of me says what we're asking these folks to do is go back, jump through a bunch of hoops, and then come back here with the same thing. And then we'll be all right with it, somehow. And to me, just common sense-wise, that doesn't make sense. I don't get that if we have the ability for a use variance. The precedent thing, also to me, I see hardship just straight up in the dollars. We've granted that before. It doesn't make sense financially for the folks if they don't build a duplex. That's a hardship. That fits within the lot, it's a small lot, as we've talked about. That's all within it too. The use variance, as I understood the previous minutes, is a very rare thing, but it's a thing. And we could use it here. The notion of precedence, to me, I don't get that at all, because the precedent is the project has to have public dollars associated with it, has to have 2 town votes, it has to have an approved QFR or whatever.
Doesn't have to have any of those things.
That's how I understand it. Those are all part of what's being asked for this specific variance. So the notion that anybody could just come and want to build a duplex, to me, I don't see that. It doesn't equate. It's apples to oranges. It's not a precedent at all. This is specific. These specific circumstances are what the precedent is.
But we can't make that some kind of a rule that somebody else cannot build a duplex unless it's totally affordable. Because, you know,
But that's the precedent
we're not granting a permit, so to speak. We're saying they can do this, and anybody else can come in, and they could sue the town if we deny them.
So
They
this is
can,
where we should
and
bring
it's-
counsel in.
It's all a matter of degrees. I mean, this thing has been bothering me since spring. I found out about this first in the spring. In fact, the first time I found out about it was I received a letter from Habitat for Humanity telling me they were building it and that they were looking for buyers to buy the units. And to build a condex there, my reaction, that's totally out of our zoning bylaws. How can they do that? And that's when I started asking questions, talking to town council, this before it even started coming to here, because I knew it was coming. And I knew that our chair wasn't a butter. The precedents we were setting would be that it's all a matter of degrees. We've given permission for a duplex that is, both sides are deeply affordable. Okay, so now we have a family who wants to build an ADU, but they can't afford to build an ADU. They have to do it as a duplex because there's more than one child and they can't give all that money to the child. How can we, if we granted it here, they can't afford it here, they're a family already in town, why wouldn't we grant it to them? Or I asked a builder, does this set a
Can I
precedent?
answer that question, though?
Yeah.
Because it hasn't gone through the whole process. It wasn't purchased by the town.
That's not, the fact that it was purchased by the town has nothing to do with the precedent.
It does, and why not?
The precedent is we've given because it doesn't, the
We're
picture becomes much
responding to this
smaller.
particular request.
No, the thing, not exactly. We would not be approving a duplex for affordable housing. We'd be approving a duplex. They happen to be selling them as affordable units. But the variance would be to allow the duplex.
It would not, and the variant,
Why can't the language of the variance can be specific to exactly what we're allowing?
For this particular one, but we've then allowed a duplex in town, and that opens it up to anybody else who wants to put a
it
duplex.
all
I don't
becomes a
see it that
matter
way.
of degrees and litigation.
I don't see it that way.
Yeah, I understand you don't, but it all becomes, I had a builder laugh at me and say, then it's open to litigation and it's all a matter of degrees. How much deeply affordable does it need to be? Where's the need? Where's the,
Right.
and the thing is, we've compromised our zoning bylaws in a way that we have never done before, and we don't have the 5 criteria we're supposed to meet for variances aren't satisfied.
In your mind. In your mind, they're not satisfied. And I should note, for the record, right, I mean, you're on the abutters list too.
I am, but I am far enough away that I don't.
Shouldn't it be disclosed, though?
You're more than 300 feet.
She's not within 300 feet or.
I'm not within 300 feet.
You're on the abutters list, though, just for full disclosure.
Right, but it's.
Technically, if he's more than 300 feet away, he's not in a butter. He's on the same street.
I'm just going by
I
what I'm
understand.
reading.
They just listed everybody on the
I'm just going by
street.
what I'm reading.
But,
They,
yeah.
they just listed everyone on the street. I am
Okay,
on
fair
the
enough.
street.
And the big thing.
And you know what, if I could have recused myself because of my involvement with the land before, I would have. But then we wouldn't have a full board and we couldn't even hear it. So
Right.
the rules of being
Fair
able to
enough.
recuse yourself, I would not be allowed to recuse myself, even if I tried to recuse myself.
Fair enough.
And at least the one advantage here is they have a path to complete this project in a friendly 40B. It's not like
I get it.
if we deny that they're dead in the water. They do
Right,
have
no,
a
I get
path.
that.
They have two paths. They could go the friendly 40B, Or you could go to a town meeting and the town could pass this,
I would say
Or
they
one
have the third
specific lot?
path
one
too.
specific law for this, you're allowed to do it.
They
Go
could,
ahead and
they
sign it.
could go within the zoning bylaws. They could build a single family, which has always been Habitat for Humanity's pride, that they furnish a house that meets the neighborhood and is that doesn't, that you can't see the difference of in the neighborhood. They give a family a foot up into a house that is identical to the neighborhood, and that's always been Habitat for Humanity's mission, or it was in I guess the olden days. Now they're responding to more deeply affordable needs, but it's just,
I suspect the folks that took ownership of that duplex would be pretty proud, but I don't know.
I don't know. I'm kind of sad that it doesn't have a basement or a garage. I'd like to see a single family there with a basement and a garage for a Habitat for Humanity family.
There's no basement because it's wet.
Well,
I
they
mean,
build basements in wet houses all the time. They waterproof them.
That sort of gets back to the original. I'm with you. Like, this is the water under the bridge thing, way back. Like, does it all?
I think we can roll that water back, though. I'm
I wonder if that's what's trying to happen here.
So
and I'm
what,
just not sure that
at
that's
the last
appropriate.
at the last meeting, they said the problem was the site work was $50,000. And that's too high for a deeply affordable housing unit to build it and still sell it as a deeply affordable housing unit. So I asked Judy Grande, do you guys know Judy Grande? Judy Grande chaired raising the $1 million for the library, to get the library built. She managed to raise $1 million in a year, less than a year.
It was about a year and a half, 2 years.
She managed to raise $1 million to build that library. I asked her if it would be possible, if Habitat would consider it, if she and I could pledge to raise $50,000 to cover the site costs of that land. Would they consider building a single family there? And that, so that it could still be deeply affordable. That would, to me, that would roll back some of this water that's under the bridge. It would get rid of all of the angst of the zoning questions. It would make the neighbor who promised that she would show up swinging a hammer if it was a single family. And we could get every board in town involved in this. And I could pull in the Rotary and the volunteer corps, and my husband could pull in the Boy Scouts, and we could get everyone in town on board with this and make it a project to be truly proud of, and get away from this angst and the fact that, the land's wet and we're trying to subvert zoning bylaws. I'd like to see them consider rolling back the land if we could raise $50,000 for them to cover the site costs. I mean,
This is all, for me, I'm just a member of the zoning board. This is all,
so that's my question for.
Is that appropriate for the board, though? I mean, is that we're designing a new, is that
We
what we do?
ask people if they're willing to make changes all the time
Okay.
to what their application is.
Fair enough.
We ask them if they can do that. If they would go a single family, they no longer need us at all.
Fair enough.
They could build a single family there. So it was, I wanted to see how this board was feeling and how we were doing, and it doesn't sound like you're comfortable with this. It doesn't sound, we haven't really gotten back to you, but it doesn't sound like you're comfortable with this.
Not really,
I'm not
reluctantly so.
comfortable with this at all. And so my question, if it would be to pose to Habitat to Humanity, if we pledge to raise the site costs for you.
We can't do that as a board. You
No,
can't make
no,
that
no.
commitment.
Judy and I personally, if Judy and I personally pledge to raise the $50,000 for the site costs for you, could you then afford to build a single-family house there?
I think our request at this time is to withdraw that prejudice piece.
Okay. And we've always granted that.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be good, because then that gives you the best options, I think. Because I don't want to shut you out. I mean, I'd love to see this go forward, but
I would have so much fun sweeping up the mess and and sweeping up for after the Humanity House. I would show up every evening with a broom and clean up the sawdust for you. I would get the volunteer corps involved, I would get the Rotary involved, I would pull in all kinds of people. And Judy and I would pledge to raise that $50,000 for the site costs to avoid this angst and to get another Habitat for Humanity house into town. I really love the idea of a Habitat for Humanity house there, and I am worried sick about the precedent.
So if they're willing to withdraw without prejudice, what's the procedure? They just request it and we vote on it? Do we need something in writing?
Yeah,
Both, all of that.
all of that.
They request it, we approve it, and there's a form to be filled out.
But we don't have that form with us, I don't
Yes,
think.
we do.
And we know we have a
that's
time
an
extension
extension.
agreement, and that's not
Oh,
a withdrawal without prejudice. I forget what we do.
If I may vote on it, once you vote on it, this hearing is over, and then I can tell you what to do.
Okay, thank you. Let's vote on, I'd like to have a motion to accept their withdrawal without prejudice.
I so move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would the applicant be kind enough to send a letter by email that you requested the withdrawal without prejudice? It's in the record, but we'd like to put it in the file.
It's one of the sad votes, because it's a good project. It's
It
just,
is a good project.
it's just unfortunate.
Oh, did everyone who spoke today sign in?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I presume that we joined.
It's the one time I'm really sad about a vote.
So we already voted the minutes, and that was the termination of the hearing, so any other business to come before the board?
Nope. I have that.
That was interesting, hard work. Thank you very much. Entertain a motion to
I move we close the meeting.
close the meeting.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.